views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hi everyone, welcome to Mission BX, a show that's a collaboration between BronxNet TV and the Center for Bronx Nonprofits at Hostos Community College. Today, we're at the Longwood Gallery at Hostos Community College, right near home for me, and we're going to be meeting with various people, artists, administrators, people involved with Bronx Council on the Arts, and talk about the work that they do and how much they help artists in the community. Hi everyone, welcome to Mission BX. I'm your host, Eileen Newman, and today I'm here in Longwood Gallery, close to home for me because it's on the campus of Hostos Community College, and I'm with Viviana Bianchi and Brian Glover, and they are from Bronx Council on the Arts. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Full disclosure, I'm also a board member of Bronx Council on the Arts, so I know a lot about them and a lot about Bronx Council on the Arts. So let's start with Viviana, let's start with you as executive director. How did you get to Bronx Council on the Arts?
I had been working in the Bronx for 2-3 years, and I used to receive emails and blasts from the Council on the Arts, and realized the importance of the institution. And then somehow life has that way of making things happen. I found out that they were looking for an executive director, and after I would say a 40-year-old career in the nonprofit sector and the arts, I said, this is for me, and loving what the mission of the council, this is how I got here.
And you were in a foundation, working in a foundation at some point.
Yes, years back.
Ago. So,
yeah. I was at the Funding Exchange, especially at the Paul Robeson Fund for Independent Media, and it was a very forward-thinking, progressive foundation supporting pre-production and distribution of socially conscious film and video and radio.
So this was a
good segue into my love, for the arts
and
my artistic career as well.
And Brian, how about you as Deputy Director of Grants and Programs? Well, how did you find your way here?
I had previously done I've been working in nonprofits for quite some time, many years, in both here and other cities. I worked in a couple nonprofits in Manhattan, and then I started doing some consulting work for various nonprofits, and actually did a little bit of a consulting work for BCA about a year before I came on board, and then an opportunity came to work in the grants department here, and I really enjoy supporting artists and arts organizations, so it was a great match for me to be here at BCA.
So I'm going to ask both of you, what keeps you here? It's nonprofits, it's the arts, it's hard, you have to raise money,
But it's also nonprofits and the arts, which is exciting. I love arts and artists. One of my hats is an arts producer, and to sort of be at the council, being able to support artists and arts organizations through grants and programs and other activities, such as Longwood Art Gallery Hostos, it's just really exciting.
And for me, I don't know, I always had this dream. I come from a family of artists. I'm an artist myself as an actress and then in film. And I always dreamed that, okay, when I stop working in nonprofits, I will open my own space and support artists and my brothers and my friends and all of that. And all of a sudden, this opportunity came. It fit the dream, and also, listening to the stories of artists and being here in this gallery, for example, looking at this wonderful work and the struggle that the artists go through to secure resources and be able to express their art. That makes me really happy to be able to support them, really.
And we should add that this show is of a show of young Bronx artists, so it's particularly special. So I think that there are people who know Longwood Gallery, there are certainly artists who know about you because you've been so helpful and with funding and support. But what are some of the other programs that you have?
Oh, well, Brian and I joined BCA around 2017, so we took a hard look at what we were doing and understanding that the Bronx had changed and is changing constantly. We wanted it to reposition BCA to serve the needs of artists in the present. So a lot of things that we do now continue to be things that we were doing a little bit revamped into a more modern approach or more database approach, and that includes professional development workshops. We have community programs such as the Bronx Memoir Project, where everyone is welcome to participate in workshops. The Longwood Arts Project encompasses the gallery and also a youth program where we offer workshops for youth in the community. We do advocacy. We launch a cultural assets mapping, a cultural history mapping project that we would like to use it or provide it as a tool for advocacy in the face of rapid development. And we're going to launch an artist registry so that connections happen between artists and people in the community who are looking for them. And I want to let Brian talk about the grants programs, which are our hallmark.
Yeah. I'm sure many people watching will be interested.
Well, we have community engagement grants, which is a series of 3 grants where we offer funding to artists and arts organizations who do community engaged projects, like teaching classes to youth in the Bronx, or doing theater projects or dance works. We also have our BRIO Awards, Bronx Recognizes Its Own, where we give grants now of $5,000 of unrestricted funding to artists to support them based on the excellence of the work that they present. And so we're really excited about that program. It's just reached 30 years. So we're excited about that. We also participate in the citywide Sukasa program, which places individual artists in senior centers around the borough. So we have a lot going on in terms of the funding that we're able to give to artists and arts organizations.
So tell me about something, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but a particular program, a grant recipient, something that when you think about why you love doing what you're doing, that comes to mind.
I just last year we on the Bronx Memoir Project. Basically, it's an open program for the community. Vocational writers or professional writers can come, and at the end, it culminates in an anthology. We are on our 4th year, and some of the participants came to us being so grateful for having offered this program for so long. It caters to an older population. Is the only program that they had felt engaged and welcome and gave them that opportunity, so they came to us so grateful. And I think that that's what it is, a little bit the gratitude that we feel, the same with this show that is from artists of color under 30, and these young people came and said, thank you for the opportunity to exhibit here, to be here, to be seen. So that to me really moves me, and makes me keep on going.
It's really hard for me to pick one because we have so many grantees. I think a couple of things I'll say is that I know a couple of programs. One of the things is when I hear the impact that the programs have, when I hear the details of a grantee who's able to do some workshops in the community, and I hear about people coming and taking the arts classes, such as writing classes or painting classes. And then with our BRIO Awards, what's really nice is that sometimes, a grant of $5,000, artists have said, that came at a time where I had doubted myself, where I doubted my work, and this award really just changed the trajectory of my life or path as an artist, because it was an affirmation, more so than the funding, which is very important, but really the recognition that my work really got recognized as something that is deserving of an award. So I really feel gratitude when they feel gratitude.
Yeah. And you've had a big change because you moved the organization.
Oh, yes.
Always fun.
Yes.
We moved to our much awaited new facility thanks to the support of the Department of Cultural Affairs, and former council member Jimmy Baca, who supported this initiative, and the Bronx Council on the Arts. We moved to 2700 East Tremont Avenue at the onset of 2019. So it hasn't really been a year yet. And it's exciting because for the first time BCA has its own program space, and we're going to be offering a lot of opportunities for artists to showcase their work. Also, we can offer workshops. We're going to have a computer lab. I don't know, a whole variety of initiatives. So the community should stay tuned. But that's really an amazing moment for us of opportunity, I would say.
Well, thank you. We have to take a break, but it's been great to have you here at Hostos, but to have you in your home. And so we're looking forward to seeing more terrific help for artists coming from BCA. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome back. We're still at Longwood Gallery, but we have new guests, and we have two of the artists who have been awarded grants through Bronx Council on the Arts and are Bronx artists. So we have Peggy Robles Alvarado and Devin Rodriguez. And so I have to just do a commercial first. And that is, so I don't know Peggy, I never met her before, but she brought this book that's her art, and it's the abuela book, and I'm an abuela. And for some people who don't know what that means, my Spanish is, that's it. It's the grandmother book. So this is my commercial. All you grandmothers out there watching, get in touch with Peggy. It's a great book. So,
thank you.
So I want to know a little bit about your work, the two of you, and how long you've been in the Bronx. And so Peggy, since I've already done the commercial for you,
sure.
Do you want to start
Sure.
and tell us about your background and what kind of work you do beyond this?
Sure. Well, I was born in Washington Heights, but the Bronx made me an artist. I moved to the Bronx many years ago, and I bought a home in the Bronx. And from then on, I started looking into BCA grants, and I wanted to become part of this community. I've been part of the community since I started my teaching career 16 years ago. I teach elementary school in the Bronx High Bridge, and now I teach at Lehman College. So I've been an educator in the borough the whole time, but the Bronx made me an artist. I didn't realize that.
That should be a bumper sticker.
That should be. I'm gonna work on that. But the Bronx did make me an artist. I realized here in this borough that I had avenues for writing poetry. And then I started to produce workshops for a very unique population of women. And then it led to this book. This book is it features 9 abuelas who took 50 photographs, which are in the book. And from those 50 photographs, we invited 14 authors to write. Some of them have never been published before, and some of them were seasoned writers. And I encouraged them to just look at the photos and write about abuelas and not your typical grandmother. So none of these poems or these short stories about typical grandmothers. People perceive grandmothers as these, rocking chair-bound women that knit.
No way.
And having become a grandmother myself in my early 30s, I realized that we can't be pigeonholed, and I refuse to be. So I created this project with the help of a BCA grant. I was also a Brio Award winner in 2014. So I have a lot to thank BCA for.
That's great. And Devin, what about you? I'm sorry you don't have a book here. But tell us about your work.
Okay, so I work mostly in oil, and I make paintings of people on the subway, just strangers. I take photos of people and then just take them home and paint them. And from doing that, that's been featured like in the New York Times and Fox 5 and a few other publications. And I was raised in Mott Haven, and I still live there. So I've been there all my life. I'm 23 now, so I've been in the South Bronx forever. And
what gave you the idea to do that? I mean, there's a guy who, and I see him a bunch of times, who sketches on the, but I don't think he's you, who sketches on the subway, and I always wondered about him.
I used to do that. Like in high school, my teacher always told me like drawing people from life was always better than drawing from photos. So I didn't have models to like sit for me, and like my friends, like they were too impatient to like sit. So I just started sketching. I started by sketching on the subway, and then it started getting too weird with like people yelling at me or like what? Because my sketches take so long that like I'd be drawing someone for 5 minutes and they'll be like, "What are you doing? Like you're such a creep." So I figured I'll be a creep for 1 second and take a photo on my phone. It's easy to get away with it and pretend like I'm texting. And so I started like taking them home and making more serious paintings from those.
And where have you displayed your paintings? And do you display your paintings with the sketches?
No, I stopped doing the sketches for the most part. I just paint them.
They're done.
Yeah, but from like the press that I've gotten like some clients to buy like everything most of the stuff that I paint. So I haven't been able to show much, but I have a painting now. I don't know if you know of John Ahern. I have a painting of him in the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery for a year from this competition that I won.
Good for you. That's great.
Thank you.
And so, do you have, for both of you, your relationship with the Bronx Council on the Arts? So you've gotten money, and you've gotten, and how did you even find out about these programs and funds that were available?
Well, for me, I found out through social media. Other artists were, sharing information about BCA and their experiences, and for the most part, they were all positive. So I figured, why not? Why not try and see what happens? I just didn't expect for it to be such a long-lasting relationship, and I'm grateful for that. Yeah. This year, I'm finishing up a project also funded by BCA called More Than Just. And that project is multimedia. I've never done photography and film, and now I'm able to dabble in photography and experimental film in a way that I didn't before. And also using poetry. So that should be debuting soon. But it's given me just opportunities to grow in a way that I wouldn't have even imagined. And these projects come to me, for the most part, what I call during the wishing hour. Between 10 o'clock and 3 in the morning, I'll sit there and a project will come and I'll write it down and I'll get lost in it. And then I'm like, who can help me with this? And usually it'll be some avenue or some type of funding program through BCA.
That's great.
Yeah.
Devin, how about you? How did you find BCA?
I don't know if you heard of Valerie Larco, an artist in the Bronx. Yeah, we went to an opening together, and then she told me about the Brio. Like, you should apply. Like, you totally fit for that. So I didn't know about it, so I researched it, and I was like, wow, like the Bronx. It's called like the Bronx recognizes its own, right? I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I applied for it, and then I ended up getting it, and it was such a huge help because I usually get into like a trap of doing portrait commissions, and I always want to get back to doing my personal work. Yeah. So I'm always like, what if this doesn't sell? So getting financial help always helps you, be true to yourself and your vision, and without having to sell out or like, do other things to make money.
So I have a question about the Bronx and being an artist in the Bronx. Have you seen, and you've both been here for a while, have you seen a change? Have you seen there's that, we talk a lot about gentrification, and there's that saga of, well, the artists move in, and then the neighborhood changes, and then nobody can afford to be there, and especially the artists. So have you seen the growth of more artists moving up here, or?
I don't know that I've seen the growth of more artists. I think it's just, I want to say that the Bronx has artists. And I think that now it is imperative to say that. The Bronx has artists. So when people come to the Bronx and say, oh, we brought art to the Bronx, I think that's false. That's a falsehood. We have artists. And they may not get the recognition they deserve. And that's why I think it's so important for the BRIO to exist, for the Bronx to recognize its own. Because it is a platform for the Bronx, but it can reach outer boroughs. It can show people that we exist. I've been able to travel and say I'm a Bronx artist. And people usually hit me with, the Bronx has artists? I thought the Bronx was nothing but burnt buildings. And it's that kind of reputation that as a resident, as a teacher, a pedagogue of this borough, and as a full functioning artist of this borough, I'm constantly having to combat that. And that's not to say that we don't invite artists in, but just I'm very cautious when that wording is used about I'm bringing art to the Bronx. We have art. Let us do what we do in our borough. Let us shine in the way that we shine. So yeah, and I have a studio space in Melrose, which I'm very grateful for.
Which we did a show about.
Yes,
so
you did.
You can name
the
space.
It's part of the Spaceworks Bronx facility. And I remember reaching out to that organization several times and saying, I want a space in the Bronx. I don't want it in another borough. This is the borough that I want to represent. And when they were able to access space, they reached out to me right away. I think I just bothered them so much that it became so natural.
It was easier to give you the studio.
Because they had other spaces available in Brooklyn and Queens. And I'm like, I'll wait. So I'm very happy to be there now for 2 years. And I produce workshops out of that space. I produce constant pieces of work and poetry out of that space. And my latest project will be exhibiting in that space for a month. So it's just a matter of recognizing us and giving us the time, giving us the publicity that we deserve, so that people don't think that we don't exist.
And Devin, how about you? Because you said you've grown up here, so have you seen, I mean, there's some galleries that have opened in Mott Haven, and so there's hopefully opportunity.
I see all of the new galleries and all of the new stuff, but I'm like so dedicated to my work and focusing on that I'm not too like plugged into the scene to like know. But I hear about like new artists and stuff like that. Yeah.
So, well, I have to thank you both. This has been great to meet you and to hear about you. I have to find your work and see it.
Well, you're welcome to visit the studio anytime.
Yes,
Studio
I would
4.
love to. So thank you both for taking the time. I know that you're both busy and doing lots of things, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
We are Jerome Avenue, the heart of the Bronx. This is where I grew up. Business is booming, people are moving, everyone works hard. Nothing was handed to anyone here. I've been in here to take my passport pictures. I bought flowers here for my mother. Oh, this is where I get my smoothies, by the way. Continuation. This is what we call the O, 170th Street. It feels so Bronx. Hey, my man Fonzie. We've walked up and down the corridor, nothing but love. And I'm glad to say that Jerome is home.
So I'm sorry that's all we have time for today, but you'll be able to look for the artist's work. And please check out other things that Bronx Council in the Arts is doing. And if you've missed part of this show or you want to see it again, just go to BronxNet.tv and look for Mission BX. And please join us again when we visit another wonderful nonprofit in the Bronx.